Today, President Obama announced a series of executive actions designed to reduce gun violence, including expanding background checks for buyers. Meanwhile, opponents, including House Speaker Paul Ryan, say the move is an abuse of power. Diane Gallagher is in Washington, D.C. with the story.
That's why we're here today. Not to debate the last mass shooting, but to do something to try to prevent the next one.
President Barack Obama detailing his multiple executive actions on gun control, encouraging states to report people who shouldn't be able to get guns, and expanding background checks for some private sales. Republicans on the campaign trail, though, have railed against the president's plan.
President Obama is once again going to abuse his power.
When I'm elected president, on my first day behind that desk, those orders are gone.
Obama's proposals to ramp up mental health care and add hundreds of FBI and ATF agents to better enforce current laws and focus on background checks, that will all require millions in funding, which must be secured by Congress. So surrounded by families and victims from mass shootings, the president made an emotional plea.
From every family who never imagined that their loved one would be taken from our lives by a bullet from a gun. Every time I think about those kids, it gets me mad.
In Washington, Diane Gallagher, Wvua 23 News.
After Obama's announcement, Governor Robert Bentley issued a statement encouraging Alabama's congressional delegation to fight Obama's efforts, saying in part, quote, "It is unacceptable for the president to bypass Congress and the U.S. Constitution with his plan," and saying this is why it's critical for Americans to send a conservative back to the White House in November. Meanwhile, we spoke with some local people on both sides of this gun control controversy.
It has already gone through the Senate and Congress, and they refuse to pass any more bills. And this is the way Obama's going about doing things, is sidestepping it.
We've seen over the years that these dramatic, tragic events all over the country, we later track back and figure out that the person was suffering from some sort of mental illness, and that there was probably some checks and balances that would have made it at least more difficult for that person to get a gun or get a firearm. And in that interim, where they're struggling to find a firearm, we may be able to intervene and prevent it from happening.
More local coverage of the president's gun control plan coming up for you tonight at 6.